78 Sports TV here. So I'm checking out my boy Boxing Beats and Rhymes page.
Doing it from Boxing Beats and Rhymes channel.
This is Tony Thompson, chilling with Boxing Beats and Rhymes. Everyone you chilling with Boxing Beats and Rhymes. This is that mere hardcore man store on Boxing Beats and Rhymes YouTube channel.
I don't know if you want to answer. Possible Manny Pacquiao fight with Floyd Mayweather. How you feel about that?
Well, basically, it's a fight that still has the potential to happen.
So, Eddie Hearn is talking about bringing Kimbo Slice over here to fight. I don't know if that's going to happen or materialize. Audley Harrison could potentially be on the Bellew cleverly undercard. And Shannon Briggs has been mentioned too. Audley is a serial underachiever in boxing. It's the nicest way I can put it, if Audley ever sees the video. That's the nicest way. He was on Strictly Come Dancing. He was on Big Brother. This has kept him in the public eye. People always talk about Audley, even if for the most part that conversation will be more than likely not be in his favour. It won't be in favour of him being a good boxer. It will be critical of him. But nevertheless, some people will say there is no bad promotion. I'm not sure about that. Audley, if he wasn't a boxer and he needed a job and I had a blue chip company, I would be chasing him down to hire him because he could sell anything. He'd sell anything, you know. And he sold his way into the beliefs of many that he can still be an attraction on the heavyweight scene. The man was calling for the David Haye fight again. Like, who wants to see it? I mean, I'm still horrified that he talked his way into the first David Haye fight. I'm still horrified how he did it. If I knew he couldn't get past 4 or 5 rounds, and I think he went free. I just knew he couldn't. I knew he shouldn't have been fighting for a world title. How's he doing this? They're talking about him fighting Anthony Joshua if he wins a couple of fights. If his chin will hold out for 2 rounds. Kimbo Slice had about 4 or 5 fights. D-level competition. Is that fair? D? Yeah, probably about D. Hasn't fought for ages. I can't remember the last time he's fought. He made his name through them tough man fights. He started doing street fighting, basically, you know, just on one-on-one street fights there on YouTube. And he beat up most of his opponents there, except that big white cop. That was a dour struggle. And he made a failed attempt at MMA. He looked good beating Tank Abbott. I remember seeing that, and then after that, it just all tailed off, really, didn't it? And he's made his way into boxing. Talking about his dream fight would have been with Mike Tyson. He must be talking about some PlayStation-based game or something, but he couldn't have been talking about a physical fight in the ring. No disrespect to the dude, but you couldn't have done. Even the Tyson that lost against Kevin McBride would have knocked him out. He's not a young dude. All these guys, Audley must be 40 now, at least 40. Kimbo must be pushing 40. Kimbo is unbeaten, though. He is unbeaten. I think Gary Shaw promoting him? I can't remember if it was Gary Shaw. I don't know if he earned any money doing the MMA thing. Probably did, you know what I mean? Because he managed to make a cult name for himself just off them street fights. And, you know, we're a naive bunch here. They weren't trained athletes. They were strong guys who probably did weights, a bit of martial arts, a bit of boxing here and there. But they were just dudes on the street who thought they was tough, you know. And we equated seeing Kimbo flatten some of them, you know, that he could do something in MMA and he could possibly be a contender in boxing, you know. Because that's the effect that social media can have, you know. And look, he's done a great job. He's done a great job in marketing his name from them street fights. He's became a cult icon. I think there's even action figures modeled after Kimbo. Kimbo is probably more famous than any, maybe barring Deontay Wilder. I'd say he is more visible. He has more notoriety than someone like a Bryant Jennings. I see him in films. I see him in Blood and Bone, and he was in another film. And he's probably more famous than most of the other heavyweight boxers today, and that's just an indictment on how America is promoting their fight game these days, and it's an indication of the deterioration of the American heavyweight scene in 2014. And we have Shannon Briggs, former two-time heavyweight champion of the world and a former lineal champion of the world. He's made a recent comeback. Looks in great shape. Veins popping out the arms and all that, and the chest and everything. And he's fighting C to D level competition right now. I'm not even sure if it's C. And he's bowling them over. And he's recently been chasing Vladimir Klitschko all around the place. You've seen the videos. The one where Vladimir is on the jet skis. He's in the boat. The one where he's at the restaurant and at the gyms. Looks staged. It looks very staged to me, but very humorous at the same time. A masterstroke by Vladimir, actually, if that's what he's doing. And if you know anything about advertising, if you can nail the catchphrase, you can sell almost anything. And right now, let's go champ, is working very well. In terms of, just, you know, he's a charismatic guy, Shannon Briggs. Very charismatic dude. Extremely charismatic. He's got a great reputation. He beat George Foreman. He rocked Lennox Lewis in the first round. He's the former lineal heavyweight champion of the world. And he won the IBF title. Two-time former heavyweight champion. But that was then. People are talking about him fighting Vladimir. That's what they're doing. They're talking about him fighting Vladimir for the heavyweight championship. Not Deontay Wilder, not David Haye, not Tyson Fury, not Derek Chisora, not Bryant Jennings, not Luis Ortiz, or probably more importantly on the list of priorities in boxing, Berman Stavern. No. They're talking about Shannon Briggs. And then, you know, we got guys like Andre Ward who can't get a fight. We can't get to see unification matches. You can't get mandatories like Keith Thurman and all them guys to get a fight anywhere. Why don't Keith Thurman and Amir Khan fight, you know? Why don't they fight? Why can't we get that fight? We've repeatedly beat the Rigondeaux story in the head many times how you can't get no meaningful fights. Can't even secure dates on the main HBO broadcast. In fact, I just heard Natty Turner saying that BoxRec have Rigondeaux rated at number 3 at super bantamweight. On the real. People have become so fed up with the politics in the heavyweight division. The heavyweight division is the most... If they don't get it cracking, don't worry about all the other guys. Nothing's going to happen in the weights below. I'm telling you that from experience. You do a study on history, and you'll see I'm right. how important the heavyweight division is. You know, people are so disillusioned with the heavyweight division that they're willing to watch car crash boxing rather than hope they'd get unification fights and the right kind of fights. Imagine Shannon Briggs, Kimbo Slice, and Audley Harrison in the condition they are now, at the age they are now, at the same level they are right now, coming back demanding title shots when Tyson was fighting or Ali. It wouldn't get heard. Their screams wouldn't get heard. But all three of these guys are more visible than Berman Stavern. They stir up more enthusiastic boxing talk than Vladimir Klitschko. They do. Sad. While El Choclito and all them lower weight guys, I don't know all the names. I'm not going to come here and say I'm an expert on there. Well, they languish in obscurity. The Estradas, Hecky Butlers, and all them guys. These guys are courting more headlines than some of our best protagonists in the game. And, you know, I'm not blaming these three. I'm not going at these guys. This isn't no condemnation on these three guys here. They have to eat. They have to eat, and they've got to do what they've got to do. But it says a lot about our game. And the reason this is happening, for the most part, is because we're pricing people out of fights, saying, oh, they don't sell tickets. We've all did it. We've all did it. And it's got to be a resume-based system. Anyone talking about ticket sales is not trying to preserve the noble art. Anyone who does that. If you can't break down the resume and explain why they shouldn't be fighting, then you need to not say anything at all. The only time I get mad at the politics in boxing is in the heavyweight division. That's the only time. Because, you know, that's daddy right there. If you're a boxing fan, heavyweight division is daddy. No two ways about it. You know, the politics, the boxers, let's not relieve the boxers of their responsibilities. The politics, the promoters, they've let us down. They've let us down. I mean, if James Toney does an interview today, people listen. And if he says he can beat the Klitschko's, I don't think people really believe it now, but they still listen. And I think in the back of their minds, they're thinking, yeah, if you got yourself in shape, you could probably do something. You know, that's how bad it is. That's how bad it is. Tony's prime must be at least 10 years, I don't know, even longer. And, you know, even when he came to Britain, was it last year? Eddie Hearn brought him over, you know, for the prize fighter. You know, matchroom prize fighter. There was this, oh, James Toney's coming over. Like, right, okay, yeah. An old James Toney. And that's because it's devoid of characters. It's devoid of people calling people out and actually going through with it. Two fighters call each other out and go to battle. It's the heavyweight division, man. You're supposed to be like fearless and want to take on any man. That is the mantra. That's the historical mantra of the game. Joe Louis had enough decent contenders, even though they used to say that bum of the month bullshit. That's because he used to knock people out early. That he wouldn't have had to recycle Audley Harrison. Their names wouldn't be recycled into the topic. Kimbo Slice. I mean, Shannon Briggs ain't too bad. You know, he's a double champion and a lineal champion. And he does have power. And if he did connect on Vlad, if he connected on anybody, anything could happen. He's not too bad. But I'm going to throw him into the equation because we're talking about the man getting a title shot. You know, if he was just continuing his comeback and trying to get back on the bandwagon, I wouldn't put his name alongside them two. Because if you're talking about achievements, it is an insult to put his name next to them two. It really is. And like I said, it's not Audley and it's not Kimbo's fault. It's not their fault. They're taking advantage of a flawed system where the matches are not being made and the fighters are not really acting like heavyweights. The heavyweights are not acting like heavyweights. The heavyweights have changed, man. They've changed, you know. Like, you know, Audley Harrison coming out of the Big Brother house talking about being a world heavyweight title contender in the 70s after he's got starched out by David Price, David Hay, Wilder starched him. He wouldn't have a place now. He'd have to find another profession or fight way down the bill. There'd be no social media or any form of media that would accommodate his voice talking about he's going to be a contender still. There wouldn't be no space for him at all. Wouldn't be no space. Why would we be talking about a guy who never even made top 10 contender status? Yeah? When we've got Audley fighting good and fighting well, reciting poetry. We've got Frazier, Foreman, Lyle, Shavers. Fuck that. Let's go 80s. Witherspoon, Thomas, Tubbs, Page, all them dudes. Tucker, Douglas, Tyson. 90s. Bo, Lewis, Holyfield. There'd be no room for press headings from Audley Harrison or Kimbo Slice. None. And Eddie Hearn, he brought James Toney over and he's talking about bringing all these three guys over. So people are bigging Eddie up, but we got to point out the bullshit when the bullshit is the bullshit. You know? Bellew Cleverly, pay-per-view. Bullshit. The only two pay-per-view worthy attractions he has on his roster are Carl Froch and Kell Brook. Just like when Frank Warren brought Audley over to get banged out by David Price. And then everybody blamed Audley for the farce of what they witnessed. How are you going to blame Audley when at least guys like me, I've got the videos to back it up, was screaming at the match because I knew what was going to happen. He's going to get starched out and then you're going to start cursing him out. Like Steve Lillis. That's why I put them guys to task. You know? And let's face it, man. I interviewed Shannon Briggs of Errol, I think Chris, and he's a nice guy and he was a really good fighter. Great heavyweight, man. Good puncher, lots of first round KOs, exciting. He really needs to redeem himself and show us there's a lot left in the tank, because that Vitali loss a few years back, I can't shake that fight out of my head. It was a horrible beating, man. You know, Vitali was lining the guy up with the jab, you know, putting it out there like the referee was saying Bundridge was doing to Molina, and then banging rights in his head. He took such a bad beating, and now had a little rest and whatever, and now, you know, he thinks he can do it again. Look, man, them beatings don't wear off just like that. You can't just wear off them beatings, man, you know. There comes a point where you take them beatings and it's just a wrap, you know. You take the beating, you add that to your age and the wear and tear on your body, and it's just, you know, it's not a good look, you know, when you're thinking or talking about going 12 rounds for the heavyweight championship. It's crazy, man, you know. Like, even I've had to revise what I was saying about Johnny Nelson. If you got a gammy hip, man, that's middle-aged male problems. When you start getting that shit there, I don't know. See, the thing is, if Shannon gets the shot, and I've got two sides of me saying, well, I like the guy. I spoke to the guy. I want to see him get paid. Yeah, I like to see him get paid. So if he got the fight, he'd get paid, and, you know, it would be good. He'd have a chance to win the title. But the more expected result of a fight between him and Klitschko is he gets ironed out or gets thumped up and stopped in a very anti-climatic way. Because after all the antics or the theatrics that him and Vlad have participated in, people will expect a show and an event. More than likely, it's not going to materialize. Then what? That leaves the heavyweight division in even a worse slump, because you feel stupid because you've just bought into a big con job and you think, oh, boxing. And shit like that. Because I bet you any of you guys who bought into Audley Harrison's Obama-type speech before the David Haye fight, I can do it! I can do it! You felt like a right flick of mug after that fight finished. There's going to be more freak shows to come. Why? Because we deserve it. We've wrote off potential matchups between fighters because he don't sell. I've did it, you did it. Or we've wrote off potential matchups because, yeah, he might be effective, but he's not exciting. Well, if you don't want substance, then bring the freak show on. Peace out.